Monday, first day of the week obviously. We're looking at a really easy week as we planned. Usually Monday's my worst day of the week and I can have anywhere from 8 to 12 sets, sorry, not like 9 to 12 sets for the day. So it takes me a while to get through the gym. Whilst today, I've already got 7 sets. Those 7 sets being comprised of the snatch, pin squats and pallet twists, and then an additional few sets of bounds, which I wouldn't include because they're not really sets in the same generic sense, you could say, but 2 sets of each of those other than the pallet twists, if you've got 3. The weights aren't going to be that heavy. That might not be the case for the pin squats, but for the snatch, I did 60 kg last week. It was a bit light. Might move up to 65. I'll see. I don't want to do something too strenuous. I could always try to see if I could do 70 kg and fail today, but 65 is manageable. But I'll see how I'm feeling as I'm warming up. If I don't feel like the weights are moving quite well, I stay at 16 as well for my technique. If the weights are moving a bit well, or a bit better I should really say, we'll try for 65, and then we'll just figure out what weight I feel comfortable with for the pin squats. So everything today is RFD pretty much, other than the pile of twist, which is just core stability and strength. You got the squat or snatch, so which is literally rate of force development, how quickly you can generate force, whilst the pin squat is the exact same thing, straight up, resisting against as much weight as you can put on the bar. So I'm trying to use this to make sure that my start is good in the long term, even if I am just doing maintenance. So by the time you get to the start of July, really, you can be powerful enough to really explode out of the blocks. Yeah, I've had enough of just being as bad. But yeah, that's Monday. Today is the final gym day of the week and I left my tripod at track. My tripod still hasn't come yet, so I'm supposed to have 3 tripods coming today and they haven't yet. They were supposed to come like Tuesday, but because of that I had to rotate my tripod between my gym and my track bag, and when I put in my track bag when I was leaving track, I somehow forgot it. So we're going to be using a tiny stand. So there's still going to be footage. I just can't guarantee the quality of it. But because it's a tiny stand, I can probably just move it around a lot so we can get new shots. So I'm sure you guys noticed that my session on Thursday was much easier than my session on Monday. Not by much, but it was easier. That was purely just, not even for maintenance, it was just so that I could get some volume in without overtaxing my body. I felt very fatigued after what I did on the track yesterday. So didn't want to do too much. I wanted to keep it nice and chill and easy, so I didn't really go, actually I didn't go higher than 60 kg of no, nothing. Yeah, didn't go any higher than 60 kg. Just wanted to take it nice and easy. On Monday I looked, I was doing like 65. There isn't that big of a difference between 5 kilograms, but for how your CNS responds to that, that can be a big difference. So after such an intense session on Wednesday, I was like, okay, I still need to go to the gym. I wanted to skip it because I felt really groggy, slow and tired, but I'll still go out there, do the work. I'll just decrease the weight and see how we do. Before I end the video like normal, I'm going to give you guys some gems. So from a year ago, Jellybeans397 asked me a question, which was lifts that helped you get faster. And the lifts that helped me get faster are the same lifts that everyone else used. I just like to think that I was more smart with how I was training. Maybe I wasn't, I'm still learning, but I broke my gym training down into 3 groups: Olympic lifts, conventional lifts, and accessories. Accessories being like minor stuff that would help you in the other stuff. So let's say one of your legs is weaker than the other, you might be doing lunges, for example, or maybe you might be doing some isometrics. There's a lot of things that come into accessories. You can have to do your own research on that because I can't really think of all of them. But for the actual lifts, Olympic lifts and conventional lifts. So the Olympic lifts are clean, jerk, snatch. The conventional lifts are bench, squat, and deadlift. Didn't bench much at the start, but I bench more now. Don't deadlift anymore, and I also refuse deadlift. Don't ever deadlift. Do RDLs instead. You get less gains deadlifting than you do for any other exercise. The wrist to raw ratio for deadlifts is the worst out of anything you could do in the gym, other than literally grabbing a plate, like a 25 kilogram plate, and slapping that on your face from high in the air. That's the only probably thing you could do in the gym that would have a higher risk to reward ratio than deadlifts. And the second one, as you noticed, is a sure way to die. So I'd say the lifts weren't that big of a deal. It's more how I organize them. So I would go off season, pre-season, in season. Squat 2 to 3 times per week in off season. Pre-season squat 1 to 2 times, then in season once, and then for the bench usually about 1 or 2 times throughout the entire season. Sometimes I'll break it down. RDLs, not deadlifts. It depends. If I feel like my hamstrings are weaker, I'll do more like how I am recently, like 3 to 4 days. Or if I feel like they're good and we need to be focusing more on other stuff, usually the Olympic lifts, we're looking at 1 to 2 days. And then for the Olympic lifts, I break it down. At my worst, I would do 2 days of each. So we'd be looking at 2 days of snatch, 2 days of clean and jerk. But then I'll scale it back to just doing 2 snatch, 1 clean or 2 cleans, and then 1 snatch, 1 clean. Though realistically, for the risk to reward, I guess you could say again. But if you was to compare the rewards against the snatch and the clean, I would choose the clean, because whilst the snatch can give you higher RFD benefits than the clean can, there's a massive downside to doing the snatch, which is the technique is really hard to learn. Whilst the clean, you don't even need to know the technique and you can get that weight on your shoulder. It's not that hard. So you could be doing, I'm just describing myself here, you could be able to clean 100 kilograms, but you can only snatch 40 kilograms, which doesn't make sense. But yeah, if you was just to be a sprinter trying to get faster, drop the snatch, focus on the clean. You're not an Olympic lifter, so there's no reason to be focusing on the snatch. I like to do the snatch anyway, because I do still get a lot of benefits, especially if I'm just on a day where it's like I want to do lighter weights but I still want to be challenging. Snatch is a great alternative. Otherwise, focus on just the clean, getting that weight from the ground onto your shoulder, because the weights are heavier. And if I was to compare it, the RFD you could get from a snatch is like a 1, whilst the let's say a 2. The RFD as a multiplier, the RFD you could get from a clean would be like 1.8, so 80% compared to 100%. But obviously the massive downside is the weights are going to be really low unless you're really good at snatch, whilst for the clean you don't even have to be good and the weight's going to be really high. So I would do a lot of cleans. The higher you can get those cleans, the better you're going to do. The second you can get over to 100 kilograms or above, you're going to be able to lift a lot of weight in your other exercises, and then you're able to sprint really fast once you can convert that. Because especially from the blocks, you need to produce as much power and propulse yourself. The reason I've been able to PB every season in the 60 is because I'm a poor sprinter when it comes to power development. I'm power deficient, but every year when I'm in the gym, I make sure I do these lifts in rep schemes of like 3x3, 3x5, sometimes I rotate, and that allows me to continuously build muscle mass and strength whilst keeping the muscle mass down, so I can focus more on power output per kilogram of muscle, so that every single time I go onto the track I can really propel myself down. So if you wanted to get faster, this is what I'd recommend. I would say clean 3 times per week, and if you're new to the clean, do it 3x3. You'll be surprised, but if you do 3x3, then go to 3x5, then go back down to 3x3 in set like 12-ish month periods, you could probably put on 20 kilograms on each section if you're a beginner, because that's personally what I've experienced. Is it 20 kilograms? Maybe 10, about 10. So you could, by the end of the year, put on 30 kilograms. I don't normally train the clean too much once I get close to competition, because I need to focus more on competition than I do on competing. But if you used to have a year where you barely competed, or you skipped indoors, for example, and you only did the bare minimum competition you did outdoors, you could very quickly put on a lot of mass on yourself and really add on weight onto all of these exercises, because you need the conventional lifts to get the clean up. And once you've got that clean up, the way you'll come out of the blocks is just crazy. The blocks will rattle, they will move around, and you just fly.